Right, we're rolling. We're in.
How exciting.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
This is mental, right? This is so weird in many ways, but also so wonderful and lovely. It's like I'm sitting here with you two and you're pregnant and now we're recording a podcast in London. It's like, what? If you
Full
predicted this a
circle.
few years ago.
Yeah. Full circle is like an understatement. Should we give a little bit of context as well to start with? So, firstly, Ian, welcome to No Straight Lines. It's a pleasure to not just have you on the podcast, but to see you again. Because
yeah, absolutely.
our journey through fertility, infertility, getting pregnant has gone through some ups and downs, but you were a huge catalyst in us doing some investigation at the very start. So it's really special for us to have you here today. Just to see you again is
You're going to set me off crying. It's like I was nearly in tears when Eleanor walked in. I was like, oh my God. Because I can't remember when I saw you guys last. Well, would have been you at Silverstone.
Silverstone, yeah.
When you last did acupuncture on me.
Yeah.
Which was... Can't many
Years ago? Well, I've been practicing for
nearly
2 years.
Yeah, it'll be over 2 years because I started seeing you a few months before my first round of IVF, which would be 3 years ago in September.
Wow.
I know, because I was the one who found you. I can't even remember how I came across your details.
Well, let's go into that. Let's let Ian explain. What do you do? And a little bit about you, a little bit about yourself.
What do I do now compared to what did I do a few years ago? Well, I mean, my background that led us to meet was my acupuncture. So in 2003, I quit my full-time job as a firefighter. So I was a full-time firefighter to go study acupuncture and qualified in 2007. Very shortly after I qualified, I did some advanced training with Zeta West, who was kind of just up and coming in terms of the holistic kind of healthcare around fertility, and joined her acupuncture fertility network. So that meant a lot of my practice developed to be a fertility-based acupuncture practice. And so that's really kind of how I got into the fertility space and was treating a lot of couples, or mainly women really, for fertility treatment. And that's how we then met, obviously. Mm-hmm. But that would have been, like, say, 3-4 years ago, which actually by then I would have been, I would have been working as an acupuncturist about 14 years or something like that, 12 years. But it was through that I then also realised how little there was for men in terms of support. It was actually really those last few years of my acupuncture practice. I was like, hang on a minute, I'm only seeing the women, where are the blokes, So I started doing a bit more research, started chatting to men, I started offering different sort of support services, and part of that was obviously the DNA frag service, which I'm sure we'll come on to. And that kind of just led from one thing to another, which then led us to, I then met Toby, and me and Toby set up the online support group through Fertility Network UK. We then met Mike through Toby's motorsport and the sponsorship, and the three of us got our heads together eventually and sort of said, look, I think we need to do something for these guys. And then we created testhim. And that was launched, we kind of got that together, I think, the end of 21. So we're about 3.5 years. Oh, it's the end of 22. I can't remember. About 3-4 years ago, we set up testhim to kind of fill that gap in terms of awareness and education, testing and support for men. And so, here we are. You guys are pregnant. I've got a whole new company. Toby's still racing around in cars. And a lot has happened. A hell of a lot.
That's awesome.
And I remember when Eleanor came and told me the first time about the acupuncture, because hand on heart, Eleanor's done a lot of the investigation in this journey. Like, I did a little bit, but
fairly standard, I'm afraid.
I have.
I did get better at trying to find other avenues, but when it came to really drilling home where to go next, Eleanor was the catalyst every time. And she came back and she told me about acupuncture, and I was like, how is acupuncture going to help us get pregnant? And
who is this hippie you're going to go to? Who is this bone shaker? That's what I used to get.
That was my initial reaction, and I think that was my reaction with a lot of things that have happened along the way, because...
Do you mean the more natural sort of stuff?
Everything. But when someone suggests something that you have no knowledge in, you just kind of immediately assume, how is that linked, Because until, we've said this before on a few of our episodes, unless you're in it, you don't understand anything about IVF, about how fertility works. Like, none of that stuff really makes sense. You just know what you've really been told by people who've been through it, but you don't really pay much attention, or what you learn in school, which is not a lot.
Yeah.
Or nothing in my case at my all-girls boarding school.
Really?
Our sex education was pretty much don't go near boys, don't have sex, you will get pregnant. That's it.
Yeah, well,
That was it.
And the boys being told, don't go near women because you'll get them pregnant. Or you'll get an STI. You know, that's all you kind of learned, wasn't it?
And that was it. And then you're set free into the world. And obviously when things don't go the way you thought they were going to go, then obviously you're like, oh, right.
Yeah, nobody told me about this. Now
Nobody said it was going to be this hard.
Yeah.
And it really, it kind of was such a learning curve from that first interaction with you, because Eleanor doing the acupuncture was kind of the inception to it all, and then we kind of got onto the male fertility, male infertility stuff, and that's how we really kind of started honing in on the fact that it isn't just the woman. For me, it was like, this isn't just Eleanor's problem. This is
50%
very
down
much
to the man.
Very much. Well, we knew that, but really, when it comes down to the granular level, like not just a sperm test, but a sperm, like the inside of the sperm and what's actually going on inside the heads and the DNA fragmentation, all that stuff was learned.
But it's so like, even now, no, you'll know this, it's just not known. Like loads of people I know like would have no idea what a DNA fragmentation test is, and it's not something that my doctor ever mentioned.
Oh God, no, they wouldn't.
No, which I just don't get at all.
Yeah, and I think a lot's changed and improved since our conversations and kind of doing Jackie's test. I mean, so what, that was 4 years ago, was it? 5 years ago?
The first one I did was for about 4 years, 2021. So
2021.
4 years ago, yeah.
Okay, wow, blimey. So yeah, a lot has changed in that time. People are talking about it a lot more.
Yeah.
But it's probably people kind of in the trenches of fertility treatment that are seeing nutritionists or acupuncturists and doing the research. Like I said, the women tend to go off and do the research. Like our Instagram following for testhim is like 60-70% women.
Is it?
Even though we're a male fertility awareness and education kind of organisation.
Me.
Because it is the women that do that. But so I think, if you're in the trenches and doing it, you will hear this stuff.
Exactly.
But go and grab a man off the street now and ask him, does he understand his sperm? Does he understand what semen analysis is? And does he know about any other investigations or any other issues that he might have? And he won't have a clue. Absolutely no idea whatsoever. GPs, unfortunately, only get very limited training around male fertility. So, we still and will always advocate for a couple that are struggling to conceive. Go and see your GP. That should be your first port of call, because there are some tests that get done. But I've been to conferences and chatted to GPs, and they're like, so tell me, how do I read a semen analysis? What is DNA fragmentation? They haven't got a clue, some of them.
Really? They don't even know?
No, they haven't got a clue. So, and that's, I'm not rubbishing GPs. They get no training in it.
Yeah.
There's no awareness. And unfortunately, sometimes when you go into fertility treatment as well, depending where you go and the knowledge and the experience and who's leading that treatment, there will be differing views around some of these male fertility diagnostics. And so actually sometimes you'll speak to a consultant and say, yeah, no, don't bother with that. It's a load of rubbish.
We had that.
This is the issue, and this is something that we found with other treatment, especially the treatment, which I do think was what was a big help in us getting pregnant. Like finding out about my levels of natural killer cells,
which didn't come till
way later. But the
the
treatment for that, because it's not, I don't know, it's not governed under the governing body, something like
natural
it's not
killer cells is not kind of recommended on NICE guidelines. It's not
but the amount of things I'd read about success stories and things like that, what made me sort of go for it, and the fact obviously I had the results that I had, and then obviously it's worked. So,
but this is the thing, isn't it? You have to self-advocate so much in the fertility space, and you have to go and do the learning and the and the digging around,
the pushing,
and reading. The pushing. Like, actually, I'd really like to get this test, or I really want to go and get a second opinion. Yeah. And I always think that's quite hard to do in any medical setting, whether it's fertility or cancer or whatever it is, to actually push back against a consultant and say, you know what, actually, I'm not happy with what you're telling me, or I would like to go and get a second opinion. is quite hard to do as a patient. And as fertility patients, you're hugely vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, you're vulnerable emotionally. You're vulnerable in terms of potentially people exploiting you, selling you stuff you don't need. You know, promising the earth and not, you know, not delivering and all this, that and the other. You know, which might be, you know, Jackie, for you when like Eleanor comes back, say, oh, I'm going to go and see an acupuncturist. You might have been thinking
another thing.
Well, my reflex was like, how is that linked? So my logical mind at the time was, my view on acupuncture was you go when you've got a spasm in your leg, or that's all I knew. So it was a knowledge barrier. It wasn't that I was dismissing it as woo-woo science or something that was just, you know, you're trying anything now. It was just a lack of knowledge. And I think that, I mean, you can come full circle back to GPs. It isn't that they don't want to help or don't like agree. It's just sometimes they're not taught it. And so it's a knowledge issue. But for me, huge learning curve was when I had that first DNA fragmentation test that you strongly recommended. And I didn't really, at the time I was a bit dubious. I was like, this is a waste of time and it's cost quite a lot of money.
Remember your results?
That's what I'm going to get onto now. Yeah, the results. So
I remember that.
Yeah, it was a tough day. It was a really tough day.
I do remember because you were like, "Oh, it's not good. It's not good news. It's me."
Yeah, well,
it's my problem.
I thought it was going to be a really quick call, and we sat down. It was when we were in Asheville. We had the computer downstairs. I remember, like, you know, when there's some of those moments where you remember exactly where you were. And
I remember it.
Yeah,
I remember exactly where you were sat. I remember the background. You were potting around putting the laundry out or something. The laundry was up in the background.
And you just basically said, this is a normal DNA fragmentation, or like average, normal, whatever, however you want to categorize it. And this is yours. And it was the opposite way. Like, as in, like, it was a mirror image, the opposite way. And then you started talking through the ramifications of the result and what that meant for me and asking questions about lifestyle and stuff. And I came off that call and I was just like, Eleanor, I think we need to talk. Like, what's up? What was it? How was it? Was it good? Was it bad? And I was like, it was really bad. And that's
serious changes need to be made.
Yeah, and it was obviously great for me in terms of knowledge and knowing, because knowledge is power. Knowledge is power when applied, right? But it was good in a way because then we had an answer. We had some answer. You've even said
something tangible.
It was a tangible thing to work with, where we're like, it was really devastating for me because I felt, oh, well, now there's something else. I'm responsible to sort this. This isn't Eleanor's control. But in a way, looking back, hindsight's 2020, but looking back, it was really good at that point to get an answer which we could work with. But that was difficult. That was a difficult moment. And that was just the start, because it wasn't just like, oh, you've got your DNA fragmentation results is bad. Do this and it will improve. It isn't as easy as that. I'll let you talk through the results a little bit so people can understand.
Yeah, can we get a bit of an explanation as to like what a DNA fragmentation test is and how it's different from just your standard semen analysis?
Before we go into that, can I just give a little background about how we got to that? So I got the sperm analysis result.
Yeah.
We got it to the GP, and the GP looked at the results, and based on, like we've said, what they look at, the normal forms was low. Normal forms is, how do you describe it?
Morphology.
Morphology was low.
Yes, it was. It was under 4%.
It was 1%. Yeah. And they said that because all the other numbers were great, you only need one sperm.
Yeah, you just need the one.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
You just need the one sperm. Yeah. So don't worry too much about the normal forms. You only need one to get pregnant. And then it was dismissed as in, that's it.
Yeah,
put to bed.
Fine. Off you go.
So then obviously you got the results. You looked at the morphology and said, we need to do a DNA fragmentation test. And then we did the test. And then obviously what I just explained happened. And then, so to give people a bit of context, people who don't understand what it is, what is DNA fragmentation? How does it indicate sperm quality and so on and so on?
Yeah. Can I come back to that? Because what I can't remember is how we had that first conversation. How did that come about? You and me, Jackie, because I remember doing the test for you.
It must have been through Eleanor.
Yeah.
Right?
Did we have a coaching call or something beforehand, or did you come in to see me? I can't remember how we kind of got the ball rolling.
It was definitely in those lockdown times. I don't think we did anything in person.
Right.
Well, this was obviously after my discovery call with you, and I must have been having acupuncture. I'd already had a few sessions with you.
And you told me about DNA fragmentation, which Ian, my acupuncturist, has told me about.
Yes, I think you talked to me about it in one of our sessions, and then I've obviously said to Jackie at home, like, I think you should have one of these. I think you should have one of these tests.
You mentioned it to Eleanor for sure, because I didn't know about it until Eleanor said, Ian's told me about this test. I think you should look into it. And then she connected us.
Yeah.
I can't remember. We did a call.
Yeah.
We did a call. It was actually quite long. And you asked me loads of questions, personal questions about previous lifestyle. And when I opened up,
it would have been your current lifestyle, actually, because we were in Ashvale.
Yeah, but I told Ian about
I went into all the background,
the nitty gritty,
the DJ lifestyle,
the
alcohol, the drugs, all that stuff. And I was very honest, because I thought, what is the point of doing this if I'm not going to be completely open about my background?
You have to be,
because otherwise we're just throwing stuff under the rug, and then you're not going to get the full story. So I told you everything in terms of things that I put in my body, things I shouldn't have put in my body, everything. And then at that point, you then said, right, this is the next steps for you, is do the test.
Yep.
Once you've done the DNA fragmentation test, and I'm going to get the results here, I'll send you them, and we'll do a call to go through what they actually mean.
We'll go from there.
And that was the call that ensued.
That was the call. Yeah, etched in my mind forever. But yeah, so now to answer your question, the DNA fragmentation test. So I always say that semen analysis is a bit like a beauty pageant of sperm, right? It's how many are there, how well are they swimming, and what shape are they?
Yeah.
Right, and that's it. And I literally did a post on our Instagram recently. It's like, what does a semen analysis tell you? Well, it doesn't really tell you anything about your fertility capacity. It doesn't tell you how likely it is that those sperm are going to fertilize an egg and make a baby. It just tells you that you've got a decent amount of them, they're moving, and that they're the right shape. It's not actually it's not a particularly good indicator of your fertility potential. So I think obviously through the conversations with Eleanor and your history, Jackie, it was like, okay, there's a few markers here, or a few red flags that warrant doing a DNA fragmentation test. And what that does is a DNA fragmentation test looks at what's going on to the DNA in the head of the sperm. So a sperm is basically a little DNA package with a tail. That's all it is. And its only job is to go from the testicle, or from the epididymis, up through the uterus, up the fallopian tube, go and meet an egg and pop its DNA in that egg. That's all it's got to do, right? Pretty simple task. But
is it?
Yeah, exactly. It takes 74 days for a sperm to mature. It's then got to kind of, battle through the kind of hostile environment that is the vagina. It's got to get through the uterus and whatever. So it's got quite a lot to do. But even before then, the actual packing of that DNA in like condensing it down can be a process that can go wrong, so things can be mismatched and broken. But then, the big things, lifestyle and diet and smoking, drinking, recreational drugs, sitting too long, getting your testicles too hot, then things like varicocele, which I think will come on.
Yeah. We'll get onto that.
Yeah. But all of these things influence that sperm quality and the integrity of that DNA, and that DNA can get broken. And it's like, I always think of it as like a blueprint for a house. And it's like, okay, if you're building this house, but actually the woman's got half the blueprint and the man's got half the blueprint, we've got to put it together to make a house. Well, actually, if the blueprint on the male side is a bit broken, the DNA is fragmented, so these strands that connect together are broken or misaligned or missing altogether, that blueprint isn't going to match up with the woman's half. And therefore, you're going to have a very wonky house that's going to fall down. Or no house. Yeah, you haven't even got the foundations.
Oh,
so
you had a hostile environment maybe as well. That was literally it. my dodgy sperm coming in, and you're going like it's not a good combination.
Indeed.
Sorry. So yeah, that's
what it is. So we're looking at DNA fragmentation. We're looking at what's going on to the DNA in the head of the sperm.
Yeah.
And with your results, low morphology, that is sometimes an indication, or we would sometimes suspect, okay, is there a varicocele and is there DNA fragmentation going on? And Toby's case was exactly the same. Semen analysis, absolutely fine. Morphology was 1%. And then we discovered he had a high DNA frag and varicocele. So,
did he have a varicocele as well?
Yeah, right. Bilateral. Yeah,
did he go to...
Yeah, Stephen Moser. Yeah, had it operated on. And, their story is exceptional in some ways. They conceived 3 months later. After he'd had his varicocele embolization.
Oh, wow.
Because that was the major part of the problem. But they'd been through 2 rounds of IVF that had failed because nobody had looked at him.
Wow, okay.
This infuriates
It's
me.
so
Every time I hear
innit?
that story, it just winds me up because it's happening so much. And I'm not picking at clinics at all. But what I'm saying is there are
Basic
clinics out.
things are missed.
They're missed, but at the end of the day, and this is my opinion, but at the end of the day, the clinics are a business. They're a private business. I think sometimes investigation could be suggested, but isn't, because I think clinics also think it's at the end of the day, it's a bit like a lottery. If you just keep putting on, you're going to win at one point. So
have another round.
Again, my opinion. I'm not saying all clinics are like this, but we've had some experiences where
that's the thing. We've had a bad experience.
we felt like that, and this is again anecdotal, but we felt like that like one or two times within our journey, and it's not fair because this journey is it can be very expensive, and a lot of people can't afford to do that. Some people might save up and have one shot. We've got one go at this, and you got to make sure that couple or whoever's going through that has got the best chance possible.
prep.
Yeah, and that's what we're all about, is with testhim is right. Let's make sure we've done everything we can on the male side. Generally, the women have gone off and found support because there's a lot more out there for them.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is pick up those guys and say, right, before you go anywhere near an IVF clinic, unfortunately, most of the people we speak to have already been through a cycle or two. But for those that haven't, before you go anywhere near an IVF clinic, get all your ducks in a row. Make sure you've done everything you can to optimize that sperm, improve your sperm quality as much as you can.
Yeah.
And that might be, okay, you've got to have some further tests. It might be you've got to have some interventions like some antibiotics or a varicocele repair. Yeah, but even the simple stuff like lifestyle and diet, will get you an improvement in your sperm quality. So why would you go, why go into such an invasive, expensive, emotionally demanding, God, the tears that you guys went through and the heartache, why would you go into that not fully prepared? But unfortunately there are hundreds, if not thousands of couples that are going into IVF unprepared.
There's just not the education, I don't think.
No.
And I think it is just sort of thrown at you like, okay, well, you're not getting pregnant, so obviously just have IVF.
That's the solution. It's held up as a solution.
Yeah.
It's not really a solution.
IVF is not a magic wand. It's not a given. It's not like you are guaranteed a baby either.
No.
And I just don't understand why more help and information isn't given at the beginning.
We don't want to sit here and bash IVF clinics after.
No.
But because IVF and ICSI is very well indicated in many, many scenarios. But I think, you're right to some degree, Jackie, that, it's just, well, we'll just do another cycle. We'll do another cycle. And so, well, actually, let's step back and look at the man. But why aren't we doing that even before? It really should be happening somewhere, I think, between GP and that fertility referral. So by the time you get to a fertility referral, the guy has then had a full workup. Somebody's put their hands on his testicles to check how big they are, or if he's got varicocele. They've done a semen analysis. They've done further tests. They've done a hormone profile. He's had an ultrasound scan. Maybe he's had a DNA frag test. Like, actually, if all of that's done, you could pick up all these other issues that are going on the man that at the moment are getting completely ignored, or they're only going to get picked up once you've done maybe 2 cycles and had 2 miscarriages. It's like, well, it's not really the best approach. No. There is some logic and some science to some of the arguments back from the fertility industry and the IVF clinics. But I think there's enough evidence that's been built up over recent years to say that actually we need to be doing this for the men more routinely and earlier.
I think the men also can feel, how do I put this? There's a bit of machoism in that it can't be me. Like,
men are never led to believe it's them, are they?
No.
Like we said, everything that happens at school, but also the whole fertility industry and the whole fertility conversation is aimed at women.
It is.
Yeah, and I always say this, that there seems to be a very strong correlation between a man's sperm quality and his ego.
Yeah.
Right? There is.
Yeah,
it's really weird. So,
right, you're probably right there. But yeah.
And I don't necessarily think it was your ego, Jackie, but I kind of saw you slowly crumble in front of me.
I did.
When I gave you your results.
It was brutal because I didn't know what to say. I was scared to tell Eleanor. I didn't know how, because if you were telling me how to go forward from that point, I knew it wasn't a overnight fix. I knew it was going to take time. I knew it was going to be laborious in terms of like going through the steps, whether it's lifestyle, whether it's diet, whether it was in more investigations. Like, we'll get onto that. In fact, I did have one.
Saunas.
No more saunas. I feel like it feels like a sauna eat a day. I'm absolutely melted. And actually, at one point, I was like, I'm going to go and put my shorts. I'm just going to stop the whole thing and put some shorts on. Yeah, it's about 1 million degrees in London. Has been for the last couple of weeks, and this studio is melting. Yeah,
it's melting.
At that point, let's go into that a little bit. So we went through the results, which was brutal, which you remember very, very well.
I mean, I didn't deliver them brutally. Let's just
make
that clear.
No.
Brutal for you to receive.
Gentle.
To receive. It was very. Ian, you're one of the most gentle people I've ever met. You didn't grill me, but it felt like a grilling because it's a very personal thing. Like,
right.
It couldn't be more personal.
We're trying to create a family, and I'm being told in half an hour that there's a big problem that I need to solve, and only I can solve it, and it's going to take time.
Yeah.
It's like that delayed gratification. You've got to just kind of suck it up and go, right, what next? So we went through the results, I kind of digested them. It took me a little while to come to terms with it. At that point, it was like, right, what's next? So the sauna, kind of not wearing tight boxes, all these like smaller things. Then it was like the lifestyles changes, no saunas. And then it was like, right, what do we do next? More investigation. So then it was straight over to someone you recommended to me, which was
Jonathan
Ramsey. Also known as the King of Balls.
That's right.
King of Balls. And went to see him. Fantastic guy.
He got his hands on you, didn't he?
He did. He had his hands on me a couple of times. And we... Again, that was quite difficult, the second meeting with that. But the first was just kind of asking a lot of questions about us as a couple, getting to know us, our background. But then that escalated into a plethora of tests. I think he called it the full house. So we went in for a meeting, and then I ended up being there the whole day. So I did like 4 or 5 tests, including the physical examination. So checking for varicocele, checking for any abnormalities down there. Then I had an ultrasound. Then I had a sperm analysis and a DNA fragment. I basically did the whole thing.
Yeah.
The full work.
The full works, and it was very similar. It was like I had a lower morphology, but also found a varicocele. So do you want to explain what a varicocele is?
What is a varicocele?
Yeah. It's like a 101 of male infertility.
Yeah.
That's why we got you down, Ian.
Yeah. So a varicocele is basically an enlargement of the veins that are within the scrotum. So it's much the same in some ways as what you'd see in the leg, like a varicose vein in the leg. But
is that like when the veins are popping out the leg?
Yeah, popping out the skin so you can kind of see them. And you can even get a varicocele to the level within the scrotum that is physically visible.
Really?
Yeah. So Toby's apparently was like, he literally dropped his pants in front of Jonathan, and Jonathan went, I can see the problem. Whereas sometimes they're physically, you can palpate them, you can feel them, and then the kind of lowest grade is that you would have an ultrasound scan and you can notice it.
That was mine.
Not necessarily hugely significant. But what we want to do when we've discovered DNA fragmentation is we want to, DNA fragmentation it's like an outcome. It's an outcome test. Okay, right, we know this. Now we've got to find out what the cause is. Yeah. And varicocele is one of the major contributors. So what happens is those veins within the scrotum kind of expand. So what's happening is either the valves in the veins aren't working very well, so the blood's not getting pushed back up out of the scrotum, or I think you can get a little bit of backfill from the kind of, because there's a kidney vein or artery a little bit higher up that can, unfortunately, it's not a very good bit of plumbing, and so it can backflow back down. As it backflows, it kind of stretches the vein a little bit, and then that blood kind of sits there in pools. And basically what you've got now is superheated blood from the core of the body at 37 degrees sitting in this vein. It's like a little hot water bottle for your testicle.
Not good.
No, your testicles are hanging around outside your body for a reason, and that's to keep them about 2 to 3 degrees cooler than core body temperature. That's the optimal environment for sperm production. So once you've got this little hot water bottle in effect going on, you're raising scrotal temperature, and that denatures the protein in the sperm, and DNA is protein, so that can cause damage to the DNA in the head of the sperm. Right. But it can also then impact motility and morphology. It's just generally not very good.
Yeah.
And this is why the saunas and the tight boxers and all that kind of stuff is so important.
And at the time when you told me about that, I was like, I can knock the saunas on the head and steam on the head. You know,
you were still annoyed.
At the start, though.
Men get really annoyed about this stuff.
Well, I know you think about all the stuff that the other half has to go through, and you're like,
small sacrifices.
I can't go in the spa at the gym
anymore. Yeah, I used to come. I go in the spa. We luckily got a lovely day with Lloyd near us, and we go in the spa, and Eleanor would just totter right towards the steam room in the sauna, and I'll go and sit by the fucking salt pool for a bit. see you in 20 minutes. But no, the saunas and stuff wasn't an issue. The pants, I did do the pants for a bit because I realised I was wearing
no pants.
I used to wear no pants for ages because I was like, if we're going to throw the kitchen sink at this, let's just eliminate everything.
And you know what? Years and years ago, I would have recommended that. You know, I've learned so much more since I've seen you guys. Now, the problem with not wearing pants is that you've got no support for the scrotum. And actually, that can exacerbate a varicocele. So if you've already got one, it can make it worse.
Well, I did stop doing that after like 3 months. But in fact, when I got the varicocele, when I had the varicocele, sorry, I'm jumping ahead a little bit anyway. So anyway, that's what a varicocele is. I went to the clinic. What's the clinic called? Let's.
What, Jonathan's
clinic?
Beaconsfield. Beaconsfield Clinic.
Lovely clinic.
Amazing clinic.
Very nice.
And they're very precious about their grass and having the stripes in the grass. Which
they're bang on. And what's that place over the road? We went for some food that day. That pub over the road. Oh,
wow.
It's always about the food.
We're going to go and have a really
That's
quick lunch. It was like some Michelin star pub.
Oh, yeah, I can believe that in Beaconsfield.
In Beaconsfield.
Trust her to find the most expensive little pub lunch over the road.
Yeah.
But that was in between having the tests, and he was like, no, we'll do them same day. So you go and have your tests. Went away for 3 or 4 hours. Went to this small pub lunch. Put a nice dint in their wallet, and then come back and had the results. Obviously, then he came back and said we've got a small varicocele on one side and a medium sized one on the other side. So at that point, Jonathan Ramsey referred me to
Stephen
Moser, where I was booked in to go and get a varicocele removed or burned off, or
embolization.
So what's embolization?
Yeah, so Stephen Moser is another one of the legends. So we've had both of these two guys on our podcast, and the Stephen Moser episode is outstanding, where he explains everything about varicocele, and he did Toby's embolization as well. So what they do? Did they go in neck or groin?
The neck.
You know, they can go in. They go through the vein, don't they? But
they tend to go in through the groin.
They went through the groin.
Yeah,
surely that's closer to the.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I'm not an interventional radiologist, so
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. But what they do is they insert basically a small camera in through the groin into the artery.
Oh, I'm reliving it again. Oh, awful.
And they go and have a little look around with the camera. Basically, what they're trying to do is they're trying to work out where this backflow is occurring in the veins. And what they do is, the way Stephen does it is he puts little coils into the vein that is stretched and damaged. They're little platinum coils, and then he blocks that vein off one end, or maybe he puts both ends, and basically he then puts in, like Toby called it, like paint stripper, puts in this chemical that destroys that vein. It blocks it up and then destroys it. And what that does is it stops that backflow. It's basically like, you know, we talked about motorways and kind of little A roads and B roads. It's basically like blocking off one of the A roads or B roads and sending the traffic a different way. So it's then putting it back through a different vein that isn't stretched and isn't compromised. But yeah, it
was painful.
Apparently he's changed his procedure now.
And is it not painful?
It's not as painful now. You would have been in about the same time as Toby.
Yeah, and I can only describe it as, for any lads listening, if you've been kicked in the knackers.
I knew that's what was coming, yeah.
If you've been kicked in the knackers, like full force, and times
take
that,
your breath away.
You know, like unguarded.
Stomach
so like
jerk.
you hit me with a full kick, right? Times about 5 or it got up to like 5 or 6 times that.
Ouch.
And you have to just lie there and stay still. And I think it was like 30 minutes, 35 minutes, this like a dull.
Constant.
Yeah, it's just
that pain that's quite short lived, isn't it?
Oh no, it lasted ages. I was there. I'm telling you, well, it felt like about half an hour. Maybe it was less. It was 4 years ago now, but it felt, and then it dies off. It does die off, and then saw for maybe a couple of weeks, I think,
Yeah.
a week or so.
So apparently he's changed his procedure now. So what he does now is he goes in, finds the veins that are affected. He then apparently now injects something that kind of numbs the veins.
Oh, lovely.
Before he puts the sclerosant in. So yeah, apparently it's even better now.
Thanks for that. I wish you'd come up with that a few years before. But
but Toby had the same experience as you, so you know.
Yeah, no. Listen, it's a small price to pay, but I had that done. That procedure was done, 2022, February 22, because I had all these results. I had all the results in the test.
Yes, you have to wait.
We had to wait. It was February because it was in the December when we had the results. I'm sure it was.
Well, it was Jonathan Ramsey who said
you're going to need to do
you're
IVF.
going to need to do you're going to need to do IVF.
And that was a difficult conversation. I remember having that, and I remember
that was hard to hear.
Because you retested after that, didn't you? You retested like 6 months later.
So I did about 6 months later. I went from 1%, and then the second one I did was 1%, and then at that point, obviously, I had the varicocele, and then I tested 6 months later because we were waiting to do IVF, and he said that the best time to do your round of IVF after the varicocele, the sweet spot is 6 to 8 months or something along those lines, something roughly like that. So we waited 6 months. I tested again; it was 3%.
Excellent.
But then when we did our first round of IVF, you get a test. Obviously, I do the sample when Eleanor does her egg retrieval. I do my sample, and they did a test. Then it was 4%. So it went from 1 to 4.
Best it's been.
It's the best it's been,
which is significant. Like 4% is what we class as normal within normal range. And this is the thing: like varicocele treatment can improve a semen analysis, and it can improve DNA fragmentation. I think what's important, did your DNA frag improve as well? Because you had that retested. Didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it improved loads. It wasn't never anywhere near the average or normal.
Yeah,
but it was definitely more leveled out.
Definitely better.
Significantly better. Significantly better. Yeah, huge improvement.
And this is the thing. So this is what we talk about in terms of optimization, and then giving you guys the best possible chance.
Yeah.
You've now gone from suboptimal morphology to normal range, and whatever DNA fragmentation was there has improved. Plus, you did all the lifestyle and diet factors as well.
Yeah.
So at least if you're going into another cycle, you will feel better about that, knowing that you've done something to improve something, right?
Absolutely.
You know, rather than just, we'll just rely on ICSI and hope for the best. It's like, well, now the ingredients are slightly better.
Yeah.
The blueprint is actually now potentially going to match up a little bit better. So
but even if you do ICSI, you're still using the same quality sperm. They're picking the sperm and putting them in the egg, but you've still got the same.
Yeah, if you're picking from a bad bunch, you're picking from a bad bunch.
Best of a bad bunch, right?
Yeah.
So we did at that point. We'd done everything we could to get my results in the best possible shape, and to go from 1% to 4% and an increase in DNA or a decrease in fragmentation. Sorry, I was really happy, but obviously we didn't have a successful first 2 rounds, did we? So that was.
Well, it was, but then it wasn't.
Yeah, so we lost both of those, and that was it was tough. But again, sorry, coming back to the fragmentation and the tests for men, I think it's really important to talk about this, and it's one of the main reasons I wanted to, apart from wanting to see you anyway, it's one of the reasons I really wanted to speak to you today, because what you're doing with testhim is really important, and I think it's crucial that men know more about their sexual health in terms of reproductive health. Sorry. So I'd like you to maybe go into a little bit of detail about so you did touch on when you started testhim, but why did you start testhim? Why did you focus in on this? And what does testhim do?
So the why is, it's really interesting. I mean, it's almost a whole podcast in itself in terms of our backstories. So Toby was that patient, almost identical to you, really. In fact, pretty much is in terms of his morphology results and what have you. So he had been through it, or was going through it, really, when we first met. He turned to motorsport as a way of coping, so he'd gone into go-karting, and through that he partnered up with Fertility Network UK, and that's how he and I met to set up the first ever support group online. But he was still going through it. They'd had their 2 rounds of IVF at that point, and he was still none the wiser as to why they weren't conceiving, and everything had been pointed towards Katie as partner. So he'd been through it. He'd been through the depression. He'd had suicidal thoughts and all of that. He'd had some really, really bad days. So that was kind of his backstory. Mike's backstory is not kind of similar, but similar in the fact that it was male factor for him. Yeah. He had undescended testicles. as a child. It wasn't operated on until very, very late, which actually meant that he was at risk of testicular cancer. So he had to have a testicle removed. They went for IVF, ICSI, and actually it was only after the treatment that he kind of then really looked at it and said, we shouldn't have gone for this. They did DNA fragmentation and it was absolutely terrible. He's like, we shouldn't have gone through that treatment without actually having better advice.
Yeah.
But Mike's background is biomedical science as well. So he's worked in all the big pharma companies. He's done a whole load of stuff around fertility. So he used that background to start bringing diagnostics and nutraceuticals into the space. So he brought in the Myoxis oxidative stress test. He brought in Proxeed supplements to the UK. So he had all of that background as well. So he had that personal journey, but also the medical background. And obviously my background, as we've discussed, was the acupuncture and seeing couples like you guys and realising there was nothing for the men. So I kind of saw that there was something that needed to happen. And Toby and Mike were both patients that had been through it. And it was through the motorsport and Mike sponsoring Toby and me and Toby doing the support group that the three of us all met. And we're just like, we've got to do something. We can't not do something, because what we were hearing on the support group was all the same stuff. And what I did, in my acupuncture days was, I did a bit of market research, I suppose you'd call it. I phoned up patients, their husband or their partner, and said, right, what's it like? What's going on for you? Well, who's talking to you? What are you hearing? And we were hearing all the same stuff on the support group, which men were saying there's no support, there's no information. We're just sperm donors. We've just got to wank into a cup. Then we've got to hand over our credit card. Nobody's asking how we feel. We're not being told about these advanced tests. We know nothing. We're just a spare part in the whole process. And we're just like, this can't go on. We've got to do something. So we created testhim, and our mission really was, and it's still to this day, was like awareness, education, testing and support. So we've spent the last 3.5-4 years really on the awareness and education piece, like lots of content out on social media, our own podcast. The first thing we did was actually develop a free questionnaire that guys can go and do. So it's on our website. We've had, I think, nearly 1,600 men go through it. And it just asks you some really simple questions, like, did you have undescended testicles? Have you had an STI? Have you had a semen analysis? Was it normal or abnormal? What do you eat? What do you drink? How much do you weigh? All this stuff that's not getting asked. It's not getting asked by a GP. It's not getting asked at an IVF clinic. So guys can go and do that for free. It then gives you a whole load of instant health recommendations. But it picks out red flags as well. So actually, if there's something that warrants further investigation, it will tell you.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first things we did. Since then, we've done the podcast. We've got our own support group now. And then the big stuff really is we've got our own supplement now, M+.
Do you?
Yeah. We've had that for over a year and a half. We've had that. That's been out and about, which has got really good study-based data to prove that it does what it says on the box. Cool Beans underwear, this specialist underwear that supports men with varicocele, but also just supports men around their testicular health and sperm health. So we're bringing all these kind of things together. And then the big thing really that we've been doing is developing our own sperm DNA fragmentation service, which has been up and running for a couple of years now in the UK. Right now, we're in the process of just fitting out our new lab in London. So we're going to have a London central kind of lab.
Yes.
So all these diagnostics that you had and that you struggled to access, I mean, yes, you can get them, but we're going to have a central place where guys can come and get them done quickly and easily. And we're already supporting a lot of clinics and clinicians with our diagnostics. And then that support is, right, refer those guys on to, the Jonathans and the Suxes and the Asivs, all these urologists out there. But also then that support in terms of they can have one-to-one consults with me, or they can come and join the support group. So really trying to make it that whole one-stop shop for men so that it's fully joined up. And what we really want to do is try and get those men before, like say they go anywhere near an IVF clinic.
Yeah.
Save some time, money, heartache.
That was it, the last one, heartache, because time, obviously time is one of our biggest assets, but money comes and goes.
Money, you can't get more time back.
But the heartache of going through around, and let's say you didn't get pregnant, just going through that whole process and the invasiveness of the egg collection and the hormones and all that stuff, and then not being successful, that alone is such a drain. And I really feel that it can either make or break a relationship.
Yeah.
We come out the other end, all right, haven't we?
I would say so.
No, I mean, obviously, but I mean us.
Oh, yeah.
You and me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no.
You two were sound from the off. You two were such an awesome couple all the way
I'd
through.
say it's made us stronger.
Yeah, it has. But what I'm saying is, I have seen from afar or heard stories about
what
couples.
it can do.
Yeah.
You have as well.
Of course, but I totally understand why.
Yeah, completely.
That's not to say it's been smooth sailing the whole time. There's been many difficult moments.
Slippers thrown at me.
I've once threw a slipper at you.
Did you not throw anything at me through this process?
I don't think so.
You haven't been? No.
I don't think
I'm just trying to drop you in it.
No. No. But you've got to be you've got to be a team.
100%.
Yeah.
But if you're not a team, this really shines through. Like that if you're not really tight as a
You have to
team.
support each other
It
because
will-
it's hard
this will
on
break
both
up.
parties.
Yeah.
You know, I know for the women, you've got to do the injections and all of that side of things. But then, as whoever the partner is, they've got to watch on and deal with the emotions and, the ups and downs.
But yeah, really, the shine the light on the male side of things, which is what you're doing with testhim, I think so important. I'm not saying this is chance because you did a lot of legwork to find Ian to do the acupuncture, then which kind of inadvertently introduced me to the DNA fragmentation. But if you think about it, it is by chance because Eleanor came to you for acupuncture. She didn't come to you. You could have been another acupuncturist, right?
I came to acupuncture originally. It was way before we were told we needed IVF. It was because I was so stressed.
Was that what you went for stress, to relax?
Yeah, but also I think just to generally help with fertility. Like we didn't know when I first started speaking to Ian, I didn't know we were going to need IVF. That wasn't mentioned.
Right, of course. That was.
It was like I wanted to see what other things we could do.
We probably went through the whole lot then, really, didn't we? All the way, of. And I think kind of what strikes me kind of about seeing you and the treatment, what I should have done is I should have dug your notes out because I've still got them. I have to keep them for 7 years. So, but
I'd like to see my old notes.
yeah, what I was doodling whilst you were asleep on the couch with needles in you. Yeah,
Have you got my notes as well?
probably. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Digress. Go on.
But you were doing everything right. You were really healthy.
Everything you told me to do.
Yeah,
as well.
you were model patient.
Love telling you like, oh, Ian, I'm going home. This is what I'm having for dinner tonight.
Oh, I'd have pictures of your meals and all
Yeah.
sorts. You'd send me WhatsApp photos. But this was the thing, was like everything looked really good on your side.
Surface level.
Yeah. And for me, when I was seeing you, I was like, well, actually, everything seems really good. And this is why we, to some degree, questioned Jackie as well.
Yeah.
And looked down that avenue. But that was kind of, it's been quite hard for me to some degree kind of hearing the rest of the story, that there was a whole load of stuff that got missed on your side
Yeah.
that wasn't obvious to me. I mean, I'm not a gynecologist, I'm not a fertility kind of consultant in that sense, but there were no red flags on your side, really. Your menstrual cycle was healthy and regular.
Yep.
You were healthy, you were eating all the right stuff.
Yep.
So again, we'd found the stuff on Jackie's side through the testing and we'd sorted that out, but there was still all this other stuff that got missed on your side, wasn't there?
Yeah, I'm like the PCOS, but I have slim PCOS. I
Yeah.
don't have the normal
Yeah, there
or
was
the
no
more
red flags
common
there for me on that.
symptoms of PCOS, which is being very overweight, a lot of excess, hair growth. What else?
Acne.
Yeah, I didn't have any of that.
No.
And I had normal cycle, didn't have painful periods or anything like that. But then the immunity thing, which is conversation probably for another time because that's very in depth to do with my high levels of natural killer cells. That didn't come till I went to a reoccurring miscarriage clinic.
Yeah.
They were the people who diagnosed my PCOS and then I had that diagnosed as well.
And this is the thing, so you guys in effect had a double whammy.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was sperm and egg.
have this, and this.
Yeah.
Full out. Full.
This is you two, right? You do everything to the best of your ability.
Oh yeah.
Infertility
Do it
bingo.
properly.
Full house. So and on that note as well, though, we looking back now with the tests and then the varicocele operation I had and being told that there's a sweet spot, we did that perfectly for the 2 rounds of IVF.
You did.
But then at that point, there's a chance the varicocele comes back. because potentially. So at that, I remember being, I can't remember where I was, but I think I was at the gym and I was thinking, so with there, if I've missed the sweet spot, am I going to have this operation again when we do another round? And I was like, is this just never ending? Because it's just constant. It's just a constant barrage of money for one, because I mean the operation itself cost. I mean, it's about. I'm sure it was about five grand in total, something along those lines. But then with the tests, it was way more. But I've had to do all that again, not the tests, but I have to do the operation again. I was like, I can't afford to keep doing this. But listen, that was our journey. I'm not complaining about it now because. We're
kind
here.
of like we almost don't not think about it. Like we obviously always know it's there, but like now we are where we are. I don't really think about it
because it's irrelevant now because we're fully focused on what's going on now in the future.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for us to have these conversations. It's why we're doing this podcast. And it's
we want to share obviously what we've been through, so we can hopefully prevent. Somebody else, even if it's just one person from going down the same road.
But you know what? Much as it's not the focus now, it will be with you forever. And I don't mean that as a bad thing or a good thing. It's just, having seen a lot of couples that have succeeded, gone on to have their child, that fertility journey shapes your future.
Story.
Your future role as parents actually as well, because this child has not come easy. And everything that you guys went through to get to this point will shape you as parents and how you interact with your child and how you feel as parents as well. And I've seen this with Toby, like the guilt that he has when he's not there for his son because he's at work, because he went through so much to have his son, but he's still got to go and be an adult and go to work and wants to go and see his mates and do things and go racing. And so I think this is something that doesn't get discussed much, is what it's like to be a parent after fertility treatment. And I think this is something that actually needs to be discussed, because it's different, I think, for people that have been through what you guys have been through when they become parents. There's a whole different level of emotions and baggage and guilt or
I know.
But also love,
Am I going to want to like wrap them and just like tuck them in and like not let them go?
Possibly. Well, you will do anyway, because you'll be a parent. But I think it's just understanding that a fertility journey is so impactful, no matter what the outcome, positive or negative. So yeah, I think it's a conversation that you guys should capture as you become parents.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
I already think that there's going to be a larger, a larger feeling of gratitude.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, off the bat,
I already feel that.
I already feel so grateful just to be sat here 21 weeks now.
21 weeks.
And be in this position because, one, of how much we've gone through to get here. Two, knowing how many other people are out there maybe looking at this conversation and wishing it was them, because we were lucky. We're getting pregnant is a miracle. And when
the odds are just—it's
insane. Ridiculous. The odds, yeah. So yeah, those two reasons, I think the gratitude for us as parents is going to be through the roof. But I've never actually thought about that in terms of the emotions. But I think it's maybe something we need to have a think about. I never thought about that actually. Apart from the gratitude, which I knew I was thinking about consciously, I never thought about the other
feelings might come up.
What feelings might come up because we've been through this journey.
Something I don't think you know until you get there, right?
No, you wouldn't, and you wouldn't expect, and it's not talked about. It's not talked about enough in terms of actually what happens if you are successful and how are you.
Yeah.
How does that kind of impact you?
Well, just before we wrap up, Ian, I want to say thank you for coming down. It's been mint to see you.
So good to see you.
So good to see you. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, this is full circle closure of my acupuncture practice. And I think
I was one of your last clients.
You were? Yeah. But you know what? All of my clients were always really special, but there were certain people that I had a very, very special relationship with, and you guys were definitely one of them. But also, I saw so many people over 16 years of treatment, so many people that went through treatment, some didn't succeed, many did. And as I closed my practice, there were a couple of people that kind of were staying in my mind that didn't succeed. One did. She was my last ever client, I think, that I saw. I shut the door on, and that was me hanging my needles up. And she succeeded. You guys were the ones that were left in my mind that I never got to see you complete the journey whilst I was an acupuncturist. And then this has happened. And it's like, oh my God, this is just the best moment ever, and like the perfect closure to my acupuncture practice, that you guys have become the parents that I knew you should be and deserve to be, and that you will be the best ever. So yeah, thank you for inviting me up, and thank you for letting me be part of the journey. You know, it's actually a huge privilege to be able to support anybody
part of our
to
journey.
become a parent.
You were the catalyst in my investigations, and you know, God knows where what angle we would have gone. You know, what crossroads we would have gone if Eleanor hadn't met you to do the acupuncture and gone down that road. So, yeah, it's a real honour and privilege for us to have you here today to kind of like close that chapter for you. But before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to say? Maybe someone who's listening who hasn't done any of these investigations, where can they find you, testhim, or anything you want to leave them on before we go?
Thank you. Just come and find us at testhim.com. Okay. It's our website. We've got loads of information on there, loads of articles. All our podcasts are on there as well now, so you can just stream them straight through the website. Excellent. But we're also on Spotify. You've got a free questionnaire on there. People can have a consultation with me, a one-to-one. Just reach out. We're on Instagram as well, at testhim Ltd. You know, I've become a social media manager somehow in you know, this new role. But just reach out to us. We're just here to support people. We've got the support group each month as well. You know, we're very happy to help.
And I highly recommend to any lad listening to this, because Ian and his practice and his expertise and his guidance helped us get to where me and Eleanor are today. And if you can do one thing, if you're struggling, or even if you're thinking about starting and you're not really sure where to start in terms of investigations or whatever, please go to testhim.com, get in touch with Ian, the team, do the questionnaire. Just please do it, because you'll not regret it. We don't. No. And now we're sat here feeling very grateful. So I'd like to leave it there. Eleanor, want to add anything?
Oh no, it's just makes me all feel warm inside thinking about our journey. Yeah. It's just from that like conversation that we had on the phone to like literally sitting here now.
That's weird, isn't it?
It's
really weird.
Yeah. It is, but I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah,
I knew it was going to happen,
Brilliant.
and I knew you always felt it too.
Yeah, absolutely, I did.
So thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.